Test 1, 2. Well, good evening, Facebook. Thank you and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We are so happy to have you with us. Many of you may not know this, but I don't have the privilege of someone assisting me with this show. So I have to do all the setup and all the planning, but just want to throw that out there. But welcome to the Intersection Podcast. I am Boomy Anderson, and tonight we begin a brand new series called Friends with Benefits. When people hear that phrase, they usually think about something sexual, a casual relationship without commitment. But this series is a play on that phrase because the truth is, real friendship should come with the benefits, not sexual benefits, but the kind that sustain us in life: trust, accountability, honesty, loyalty, support, dependability. In a time when the word friend is used loosely, we rarely stop to ask an important question: what actually makes someone a friend? So tonight, this is the foundational episode, and tonight I am joined by my dear sister, bestie, Elizabeth Delancey. We're gonna talk about friendship tonight. So I hope that it will be something of great benefit to everybody who's watching, and those who are listening. Now, Elizabeth Delancey and I have been friends. I don't know, not quite 10 years yet, I don't think.
Pretty close.
To give you an idea of how we came to be friends. Make a long story short, let me just say that. I don't know if she remembers, but someone asked me when I first started working at Darton State College, had I met Dr. Elizabeth Delancey? And I said no. To be honest, at the time when I was asked that question, I don't think I'd ever seen a Black person in the building that I was working in at that time. And I was like, I haven't seen anybody Black. And then the person went on to say, well, she's over the dance program, blah, blah, and told me, you got to meet her. So, and somehow I think we met each other in the, where did we meet each other? We met each other was it in the,
I think it was in the workroom.
In the workroom where the copier was.
Mm-hmm.
She walked in and I'm like, okay, a Black person, yay. And so we just started, she asked, we introduced ourselves, to each other, and then we have been friends ever since.
Right.
And
I actually met your twin first.
Okay. So you knew, right. You knew Femi.
Mm-hmm.
You already knew Femi,
Mm-hmm.
the social butterfly, because I was not. Apparently, I think you already interacted at some certain events. I had gone to the Dancing with the Albany Stars, the fundraiser.
Yeah, the fundraiser, right.
Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing you up talking, reading the audience, but I didn't remember how you looked. So when the person asked me, had I met you? Like, I don't think so, because if she's Black, I definitely have not met. I haven't met her, and so, but we did meet, and so, and the rest, as they say, is history, right?
Indeed, indeed,
So
indeed.
tonight, I just want to talk about. I remember when I told you about this series title, "Friends with Benefits." And we laughed about it, and then, and everybody I mentioned it to, when I first mentioned it, their eyes looked, and I said, "No, it's not about sex. Okay, it
Right,
is
right.
not about that. It is about the fact that when you're friends with someone, there should be benefits to that in that relationship. There are certain expectations. We should expect our friends to come through for us, for example, to be somebody that we can tell our secrets to. Those are the kinds of benefits that I want us to talk about tonight. Is that all right?
That works for me.
Are you sure, Dr. Lance? I mean, Liz. I'm about to call you Liz tonight. Okay.
That is, yes, please, my God, since we're talking
So
about
everybody,
friends.
if you see me looking down, I'm looking down because I'm having to. I'm a one woman show here. So please, please, please be patient with me, Dr.
For
Lancey.
now.
Let's talk about first what we think true friendship means. What do you think? What is true friendship to you?
Well, I think that you did a really good job in the intro. And the whole thing about benefits, it is true. I can think about for the people that I call friends. I don't take that word lightly. I know one thing that all of them have in common. We balance each other, in
Mhm.
some kind of way. Now, to speak specifically about our friendship, um, I we
It
have
doesn't be about our
shirts.
friendship. It can be about
No,
what
no, no,
what
no,
is,
no,
what is
no.
it?
But no, I just want to say, we have a picture together of us wearing these T-shirts that are opposite and represent who we are. I remember
Yes.
buying the T-shirt that you were wearing in the picture that reads um, something about "Let me overthink this," and then I was
Yes.
wearing a T-shirt. That's a horrible idea. What time? And I think and I think that balance right there just says so much about who we are as individuals and why I think that we need each other,
Yes.
because I feel like although you're the air sign, I'm the water sign or whatever. Um, I have a tendency to jump first and then ask questions
Mm-hmm.
thereafter. Um, and and I think about even like with my mother, a woman that I loved and adored, and she also was a friend of mine. She had a way of grounding me. She was the one that would think things through, and so it was really funny when I thought about it. I'm like, wow, the people who exist in my friend space, and that's
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of people, but I am blessed to have the people that are in there. Because I was thinking, I'm like, I surprisingly, I have, a core group, because I remember existing for a long time with just like maybe one or two, but a core group. But I don't use the word lightly, but I know that for me, what they do is they help me think things through because I can be very passionate about things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to say a loose cannon, but yeah, sometimes, And so I do rely, and so that's where a benefit is, on those who I trust to not only hopefully agree, but to hold, like to see like 360 degrees around, because if I can be laser focused on a thing. And so, the people that I trust, they can see a greater thing. They can see
Mm-hmm.
further down the line, because if I'm just so, again, just filled with passion about it for good or for bad, I'm just looking at that one thing. And so, and if I trust you, I'm going to hear you. The other thing is, friends will hold you accountable, but they have your back. So I remember, I'm going to speak about my friend Erin Katrina Johnson. She checked me one time when we were at Popeyes. We were in Savannah. And she was like, that woman is going to spit in our food. I wasn't even aware that I had a tone when I was speaking to this woman. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know. Now, I bring that up to say that if you are my friend, I expect and hope that you would feel no. I expect you to point out what I'm jacking up. Okay. If I have a booger hanging out of my nose, you are in
Hmm.
that circle that you're supposed to tell me. If my pantyhose are holding my skirt up, I expect you to tell me. And so those are those things, the truth is what I expect from my friends. Period. I don't care what it looks like, because if I call you friend, I know that when you tell me truth, whether I like it or not, it's
Hmm.
going to be to my benefit. Here we go. To my benefit. And I exchange that too. And so if I can't speak forthright about like my feelings and my emotions, or something that I find, like, ooh, a little challenging that I see you doing, and you receive it, and I, no, and it, then then we're not friends. If we can't have hard conversations, then we're associates.
Hmm.
So
Well, I
that's
know.
that's that's for me.
Well, I know for me, because I'm also, I want to engage us to engage in conversation. Um, so I got to wear a host in at the same time. But when I think about true friendship, and this is something that I heard um my pastors say, and it's is stuck with me, is that a friend is someone that goes through all four seasons of your life.
That's good.
That person is there through spring when things are great. The person is there in the fall when things are dormant or something happens. Winter, something when it's cold, when something is really dormant. And things are going dormant in the fall, and things are dormant in the winter, and the summer. But and they go through every they go through the good times and the bad times. So for
That
me,
is so
that's one
true.
of the things about that qualify for me, that how I define true friendship, what it means to be a friend. Um, when I think about um, friendship, I think about inconvenience, not convenience, inconvenience. I think that when a person who you are friends with, if I'm in a situation and I need someone, I have the expectation, and we're friends. I have the expectation, and vice versa. If you, the same thing for you, that you can inconvenience me and I can inconvenience you. That if you're doing something and I need you, you're gonna stop what you're doing to address whatever the issue is. You're gonna go out of your way, you know. And that's something I think that but it needs to be mutual, you know.
Absolutely.
One of the things Teddy Pendergrass is his song um Somebody Loves You
50-50.
Back. What's the
Yeah, he talks about the
um
50-50 love or
yeah, he's
something
on
like that.
50-50, yeah,
I
70
shake my
30. It's
head
not, yeah,
every time I
yeah.
hear that song. I love Teddy, but I feel it should be 100-100,
Yeah, it should be
as
100
much as
100.
possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, and
Yeah.
I know that with the ebb and flow of life, sometimes it's not possible. Like if you're
Mhm.
the one in need, it's not possible to give 100%,
Right.
but that person needs to be able to go across that and meet you where you are. And then there's
Right.
got to be that give and take, that ebb and flow, because otherwise it's, you're a doormat, or you're a user. Yeah.
Right. So what are some things that what are some things that, because let me say this. I was in I let me say this. I have looked back over my life and I don't see that I've had many friends. Okay. I've had a lot of associates. I guess you would call them associates. But when I look back, I don't see many people that I call friend. There are people that there have been more people in my life that have been mothers to me. So when I think about when they came into my life, we were not friends. You see what I'm saying? They were mother figures. They were mentors to me. Um, and that's male and female. Okay. Um, but when I look back, I really can maybe count on one hand that I can say that I've had that many friends, which leads me to um it makes me think about, what are some of the qualities that are necessary to establish an effective, powerful, positive friendship. What do you think of some things, some attributes?
Yeah, I think about this book that I read by Neil Clark Harris, he was one of the founders of eHarmony,
Okay.
and he talked
Mm-hmm.
about the idea of an A team. And
Mm,
he said, typically that's not going to be more than 10 people.
mm,
And he described the attributes. And the ones that stick out to me most are people who can hold your dream or your vision for you when you can't see it.
mm.
Um, somebody who is not a competitor.
Yes.
Uh, so it's like there's never. I mean, they are 100% your cheerleader. There's never any resentment, and you're safe with them throughout those seasons. But those are the ones that stood out to me most, and
Oh.
because I know when I think about the people who have held up my arms particularly in the fall and the winter, right?
Mm-hmm.
The There is no competition, and there's definitely reciprocity. And not that it's about that, but it is about that because I love the way that you put it about the inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes, look, listen, if something's going down at 3 a.m.,
Right.
uh, who else am I going to call but a
Right.
friend?
Right.
Because, seriously,
Yeah.
and so, and the other thing that the book, the author made clear is that it doesn't necessarily mean that family will make that list.
Yes.
And I think that that is something, like I said, I was very blessed to have my mother who was also a friend. Not initially, let
Mm-hmm.
me be clear, that, because
Yes.
I am a wooden spoon survivor. She didn't play. But as an adult, she definitely was. And I believe I was hers as well. But I, well, I didn't have a lot of cousins. I have a very small family, but I also think about, that scripture. And please, I'm gonna butcher it. I'm not good at quoting things, okay?
Okay.
But that one about, a friend is, something that somebody who sticks closer than a brother,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and I think about like
A
my
brother.
my father's uh, funeral in California. And I was looking around at the people who had come, and they
Mm-hmm.
were people who primarily had established relationship with my mother. They
Yes.
were former students of hers, and then there were, a few people from my dad, but mostly, so I developed like kind of monkey bread attachment, sibling-ish kind of relationships with them. They're
Mhm.
you know they're family, you know. And I was looking around and I was like, wow, these are people that I know my mother could count on, and I know that my mother, they could count on my mother, you know. And so by extension, they became part of my family, you
Mhm.
know. And so when I was there, I was just thinking about how blessed I was to be in the company of this kind of, you know, unit. Um, because I was thinking, you know, this, you know, it's real when you get to choose the people, you know, because sometimes we get stuck with people because we're born
Right.
in this, or we have that kind of, you know, blood attachment. But when you have a bond that stretches and accommodates all of the different shapes of your life, you know, and it sticks and it stays, you know, through all of these different iterations, that's something that's real, you know. And
Mhm.
you certainly were in that crowd, and you did the eulogy for my father. And I remember that whole that was that whole situation was just kind of wild, you know. But when I thought about like who was going to do the eulogy, immediately I'm like, well, dang, my best friend's a preacher, pastor, associate pastor, or assistant pastor. I don't know what I would call you, but I know you're a reverend. You know, I was like, well, okay, well that's done. You know, so asking you that was easy for me, because you
Yeah.
knew enough about my dad, because you had been in the space with us. You knew enough about him, like from your interactions with him, and then
Mhm.
also things that I told you about him. Because, you know, child, sometimes, you know, my dad and I, we were so much alike that it was like, you know, two parts of the battery that were the same, you know. So so yeah, you know, so I absolutely trusted you, you know, with that. And I hadn't, and that was one thing that I absolutely just took off my list of things to concern myself with, you know. And and you know, and it was really meaningful to have your support in all of those capacities through that time, because it was that whole situation was very challenging, you know, losing my dad. It was different than losing my mother, because when I lost my mother, I still had my dad, and my dad was the one that was still driving things and putting things together and figuring out
Mhm.
things. And you know, when I became, and I'm going to call this an orphan, then I was like, oh, all of this is on me, and I've got to figure out all of these things, you know. And so it was helpful, beyond helpful, to be able to, you know, reach out and physically, you know, grab a hold of you, because that was the ups and downs with that, they were pretty tremendous. And then plus the fact that, you know, I had to go to California to do that, it was a lot. It was a lot, you know. And I couldn't think of anybody better to walk me through that situation, because it was something. So it, you know, it you know, it makes me think of also when I think, oh God, there's some scripture about somebody holding up somebody's arms. You know what I'm talking about in the Bible?
Yes, the people held up the hands of the arms of Moses, so and when they held their hands up, they were winning, and when he let his hands down, they were losing in the battle.
Right.
So so so
So
so let's
that
let's yeah. So let's talk about, because let's talk about. I'm trying to find the scripture you're talking about. Born for adversity, but I'm going to find that in just a minute. But um, I want to get this in because I want the audience to put in the comments what what are the qualifications of a friend? How do they define a friend? What are the attributes of a friend? And put in the comments, and hopefully there are many people watching, also put in the comments what a friend is not.
oh
Okay.
God, yeah,
Please
that's a
put
good one.
either y'all or both. What is a friend? Okay. And what a friend is not, or what a friend ain't, is what my
Right.
topic was.
So
Um,
wait a minute. I know you have a flow, but you know, because I'm your friend, I'm the one that's going to interrupt. I have to ask you. So what ain't a friend for you?
a friend for what a friend is not someone who betrays you.
Okay, so somebody who
I think,
betrays you is somebody
yeah,
who is
that
not a friend.
I think that is the number one for me, is someone that, and I'm not, and I don't know if I was, and let me qualify that, a person who intentionally, okay,
Mhm.
because I think sometimes people can do, a person can genuinely care and and I don't think everybody is a Judas. Okay. Judas, and I don't know how we we've tied in a lot of spiritual
Right.
things tonight,
Well, it just
but
happens.
it's tied in somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Judas intentionally did what he did.
I
Okay.
like that loyalty,
He
honest.
he planned, he was a part of the planning. Okay. That to me is that's intentional. But then there are
Mhm.
some people, I think, that they are not, something, they might do something by mistake. They might tell something that you said or did in the moment,
Mhm.
and it was just a mistake.
Mm.
Okay. Now the first time. Now if it's,
Yeah, I'm a
if
little
it's more than
skeptical
one
with that
time,
one.
now that's, we're
I
not
don't
talking
know.
about that.
I
So for
expect
me,
my friends to not make a mistake like that.
yeah. Well, I mean, but sometimes you could be, I
Nope.
see. I'm the kind of person, now I will give you more. I will give you more than one. I know of a person who said to me when I was a young person, I don't give a person but one time, one chance,
Mhm.
and they really meant that. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm going to, okay, I'm gonna give you one chance if I think you didn't mean any harm.
Mm. Mhm.
Okay. And I know some folk, don't that's not how they flow,
Nope.
you
Nope.
know. Um, but I mean, I think that
I believe you the
betrayal.
first time. No, because see, my thing is this. Okay. I'm also that friend that I never assume that, for example, if you have a challenge with somebody, right? And they do something that undoes you in some kind of way.
Okay.
There is nothing in me that believes that that person would not do the same to me.
Oh, I agree. I agree with
Okay.
that. Mhm.
And so there can never be really a kind of existence of, if I'm your friend, I'm friends with also your enemy.
Oh, now I have a problem with that. I
I cannot,
I
I
do
cannot.
I do have a
Mm-mm,
I do have a
mm-mm.
problem with that. And
I know.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be cordial,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
but no.
Yeah, because now that's another thing that I have an issue with. If I'm friends with someone and you become friends with somebody that I mean, yeah,
Mm-mm.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I
Mm-mm.
really have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be looking at you like, you know,
Right. No.
I'm gonna
Because
side eye
see,
you.
no, I'm gonna do more than that. Because see, my thing is this. Uh, now granted, like in professional spaces, for
Mhm.
example, where we all have things to lose, right?
Mhm.
I'm not gonna cut you,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
literally. But
Mhm.
but in all other ways,
I'm gonna
yeah.
cut you off.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and again, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not going to just walk around like, folks that we see on social media, just saying everything. And I don't suffer from Tourette's. So, I
Right.
can't use that as an excuse.
Right.
Um, but no, yeah, no, I am a protector of my friends,
Mhm.
and if you do something to a friend of mine,
Yeah.
You may not, I don't, yeah, I trust. I'm wondering, like, no.
Now, Liz,
Maybe
now,
I
now,
shouldn't.
now, now let me say this about now. One
Mhm.
of Liz's attributes is she is a protector. Now, I will, she, if somebody hurt me or makes me mad or hurts me, Liz is going to. uh I can't tell you where it was, but I will tell you one time I texted
Ooh.
her
Mm.
and I was upset about something. And somebody was talking and they said something that upset me. And I just texted Liz. I don't know how she got there in the record. And matter of fact, she was doing rehearsal.
Yep.
She's a dance professor. She teaches dance at Albany State. And I remember her saying, "I'm on my way."
Yeah.
And I would imagine that the car, I wasn't out there when she
Well, you
drove
know
up and
how I
parked,
drive.
but I could imagine that the car was on two wheels.
It was, yeah.
And
Because
she showed up she showed up and I was like, wow. She was ready to she was
well,
like,
yeah.
Peter, where's the ear? Let me cut the ear off.
Listen, I
So
look,
yeah,
yeah.
that's an attribute. That's a protector. You know, a true friend is going to protect you. As I say, from all enemies, foreign and domestic. A true friend is going to protect you.
Look, in the family and outside of the family.
Now, right, and might not protect your feelings because
Mhm.
someone said a true friend is honest with you. I'm gonna put it back on the screen. Pam Green Jackson says a true friend is honest with you about all things, sticks
There
closer
it
than
is.
a brother. That's the scripture you were
Yes.
talking about, Liz.
Yes, yes. Thank
Listens
you,
and
Miss
don't. So
Jackson.
I'm not saying I'm not a true friend might not protect your feelings because
Mhm.
they might not be in a position to protect your feelings, especially if you're wrong. Because they're gonna tell a true friend's gonna tell you when you're wrong. Okay.
Mhm.
But a true friend will protect you when
Mhm.
you've been harmed
Right.
or when you've been hurt. Because there's a difference between hurt and harm. So a true friend is going to they might have to they come out on roll up on two wheels, but they're going to protect you if they feel
Right.
that you are in danger in some, whether that's emotionally, physically, but they might not protect your feelings all the time if you are wrong about something.
But you know what? And with that protection, like for example, like if you need to check me about something, that's
Mhm.
something that happens between
Mhm.
us without an audience, right? And so my expectation is, yeah, get me squared away because I don't want to mess anything else up.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that from you. But when we
Yeah.
go out there, I expect you to have my back also. And
Mhm.
it's funny, I think about something, I know the Jeffersons, it's in rerun a lot,
Mhm.
the
What
I
is it? Because I can tell you what it is. What's the episode?
I don't know. I don't know. But I think about how Louise would have that little kind of moral, self-righteous thing that she says to George and sometimes in front of other people,
Mhm.
and I hated that. I remember
Like,
watching the Jeffersons and then like, oh now George, blah 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 blah. I'm like, girl, why are you fronting him like that? I just never
could you give
I
me
never
could
liked
you
that.
give me an
I can't,
example?
no, I cannot. I can't. But I just
Okay.
remember seeing that a number of times. And I
Okay.
did not like that about her character, how she would
Mm.
correct him in front of other people. Because my thing is, I'm like, that's between you all. Because, there should be a united front when
Yeah.
you're dealing with other people. I mean, period. And
Yeah.
I just, and there had been at least two episodes, and
Mhm.
I can't but I just remember even as a child thinking, oh, that just rubs me just the wrong way. Um, because yes, accountability is important because that's how we grow. That's how we stay safe too.
Mm.
Because I
So,
mean, if you're not checking me because I'm you know running my mouth too much, if you're not
mhm.
poking me in the elbow, because I tend to do that. Well, obviously, like you're talking too much, you're saying too much, and I can think of like my friend Henry, getting me like, "Just shut up," I need that. I need because that's just because I know my personality. I tend to run. I'm demonstrating that. So, I
so
need somebody to put that stopgap for me sometimes.
so what is a deal breaker for you? I think
Oh,
you asked me something similar. But
a
what's a
deal
deal
breaker.
breaker for you as it relates to friendship?
If I
What's a
can't
deal
trust
breaker?
you, if I cannot trust
Mm.
you, period.
And what does that look
And
like? Give me an
it could
example.
look like a lot of things. Okay. Like for example, if you are careless, right?
Mhm.
And so even if that's unintentional and you unintentionally harmed me because you're careless, that's a
Mhm.
problem for me because you're
Yeah.
careless and that
Yeah.
put me in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And so if you, so that so I don't have that point of view where I'm forgiving about that because see I don't mess with people who are careless
Mhm.
or reckless
Mhm.
because you're oblivious, and I can get caught up in your well-meaning,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
so if I can't trust you, and then of course those friendships with people that I rather not deal with because
Mhm.
I really don't, it's funny of late, we've had conversations about different things, and I
Mhm.
know that while I am optimistic about a lot of things, and I believe that um, my faith is a gift,
Mhm.
I'm also very skeptical. And I don't
Mm.
think that those are diametrically opposed to one another. They coexist. They do. And I think that the sum and substance of my experiences have shown me that all of those things can live in one space. I don't have to
Mhm.
compartmentalize, explain it, whatever. I get it. So I can, and it's so funny how like we can look at the same situation and you're like, oh no, I think it's blah, 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 and you have this positive kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. And
Yeah.
like that in some situations and circumstances,
Mhm.
and I can still live in that space where I completely disagree with you. And I'm like, now I am Thomas, since we're talking about the Bible, right? And referencing the
Mhm.
Bible. You're going to have to, or call me Missouri, because you're going to have to show me that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Um, and so another thing that's important to me is that I can have my point of view, right? And so if I'm
Mhm.
I'm cynical about a particular thing because history has shown me, okay, this is how things have often turned out. So I have I think a healthy suspicion about something,
Mhm.
that you're not spending time convincing me that I'm crazy because you're
Mm.
accepting me where I am. Like, okay, well, that's your point of view, and I feel this is what I think, and I'm like, I appreciate that. I completely disagree, but we're gonna see what the end is gonna be, and then I hope that you're right, but
Mhm.
in case you're well, I was prepared. Those kinds of things. So I think that uh, support. And even if I'm messed up, even if, because the support still comes in the correction, for example, like, you probably shouldn't have said that, or don't say that, or whatever. But, okay, if I happen to say the wrong thing or whatever,
Mhm.
or look, now, listen, there's a GIF, and there's like some kind of character zooming all the all the way to wherever it is, and the caption is, me on my way to defend my friend when I know my friend is 100% guilty,
Mhm.
right? That tickles me every time because that's what I need my friends to do, and that's what I do
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, whether you're
Yeah.
right or wrong, I've got your back. We
Yeah.
will have our own conversation about it later, if you're
Mhm.
wrong, or
So
it'll just be enough that we know. But
right, right.
yeah.
So do you in thinking about friends, because social media has made friend, the word friend is used so loosely now.
Loosely.
I
Oh
mean,
my
it's like
God.
you've known somebody for an hour, and then all of a sudden they're your friend.
Or you see them a lot and you think that you know them. And so they,
Yeah,
because then there are people that feel that they have liberties,
yeah,
to, like, for example, like with the content that you create. You've got a number of followers and they see you like weekly and sometimes three times in a
hmm
week and multiple times. And so it's easy to feel like, oh, I know who she is. But in
right,
actuality, you understand um who I am in this space, but no,
hmm
you're not a friend.
yeah,
And so and so yeah, yes, social media really can, and that's challenge that. And that's why I worry about the young people, because it's like it's easy to perhaps get a little bit confused about what
right,
really is a friend, just because somebody looks familiar to you and they're
right.
familiar with, because of a lot of frequency. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said earlier, you know, and I'm not. And when and I made a statement earlier that I've only had like 5 friends. Of course, I've had more than, but when I'm saying close, I mean
Yeah, that holy of
like
holies kind of
yeah,
in
like
there. Yeah.
right, right. Um, but social media has watered down
A lot.
the
Mhm.
beauty of friendship, the
Excuse me.
power of friendship, the uniqueness of friendship. I mean, it has watered because I mean, you hear little kids. That's my friend, and you hear adults too. Okay, somebody you just met, and all so you referring to them as your friend. But I can remember also a time when it was something called fast friends.
Mm,
Okay,
yeah. Yeah, I
so
remember that expression.
yeah,
Hmm.
before
Hmm.
social media, and I'm just wondering, do you, I think there are steps. I think there are steps to a person becoming your friend. I think
Right.
a person becomes an acquaintance,
Hmm.
then a person becomes an associate, okay, and then a person can become a friend. I
Hmm.
think that, and I think those three categories can fit. You can be an
Hmm.
associate and never a friend. You could be an acquaintance and never a friend. But I think there's sometimes you can start out as an acquaintance
Hmm.
and become it, because I think that's what happened with us. We kind of,
Yeah. But
and then
also though, and then you can be, you could be somebody's friend and they be your associate.
hmm well, that's good. Yeah, 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 yeah. But I do think that true friendship, there has to be a balance of reward and benefit for both
Absolutely.
parties.
Yeah.
I
For
don't
and
think that,
say that
I don't,
again. Right.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that now let me say this. There may be seasons in that relationship that may require more from one party.
Right.
Okay. Because for example, you can be friends with somebody and you've experienced death, you've experienced a divorce, you've experienced a job loss. That can all be going on in a season. Okay,
Right.
because we think that one thing happens at a time. That's not might always be the case. So in
No.
that place, you know you might have to give more
Sure.
in the
Right.
relationship for that season. you
Hmm.
know but by and large, I think that people should have expectations, because to me, the other thing, a friendship is a covenant. It's an agreement. It's a covenant. And so there needs to be, if I can depend on you, you can depend on me, I should be able to depend on you. If I can
Right.
stop what I'm doing, if I can be inconvenienced, then the other person can be inconvenienced. If I can
Absolutely.
give, if I remember your, if if the person remembers my birthday and they do something nice, then I ought to remember that person's birthday and do something nice.
Right. But
You
now,
know,
but here's the thing. Now, with these things, it can't be out of obligation,
right? I
right?
mean, I agree with
Because
that.
it's like there's it has to be genuine,
Yeah,
right? Because
and
we
if it's
all
not
know how to
genuine,
perform,
yeah, and
then it's
it should be
associate
genuine. It
acquaintance.
should be
Right,
genuine.
right,
And you should,
right. So,
you know, I won't use the word, but when I'm talking about, well, giving out of your heart, it shouldn't necessarily be performance. But if it's performance, if it's a if it be if you do it begrudgingly,
mhm.
then perhaps that's not your friend. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, you know what? And I agree because see, the thing is this. But now let's talk about inconvenience because I know
Hmm.
I have, you know, been inconvenienced and I know I can be an inconvenience. Okay. Um, and
If you
I
say
want to
so.
be clear though that inconvenience is hard, and I don't
Hmm.
feel that people should mistake that to say, okay, like if I'm doing something and
Hmm.
I'm in a flow because and it's like something that's taken me a while, I
Hmm.
don't think it should be held against me as, for example, your friend
Hmm.
that I'm like, damn, I gotta stop. But I'm gonna stop. But it's not convenient and I'm
And I'm not,
feeling it.
and right,
But no, you understand
but
what I'm saying. So I don't
yeah,
want it to seem like,
I'm not
oh,
talking
my friend
about
has
a
called, you know.
casual. I'm not talking about a
Right,
casual inconvenience. I'm not talking
right,
about, I'm just, I just want to, I'm just, I don't know what how I would say this, but not a casual inconvenience. I'm not talking about that.
right, right.
I'm not talking about, uh, hey, could you come here for a second and you come back? Could you turn that? Could you hand me the remote? I'm not
Can
talking
you
about that.
change the TV for me? Wait, look,
Could
Gen
you hand me
X, you
the?
hear me?
Could you
You
turn the
know
light
what we're
on?
talking about, right?
Huh? What now?
But look, no, I said Gen X. Gen X knows all about that. We have
Yeah,
been the
yeah, yeah,
human
yeah,
remote controls.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, no, no. And
But
I
I'm
feel
talking
you.
about,
Right.
okay.
Right.
Let me give you an example. Okay. Now this a lot of people don't know this, but I'm gonna give a little, just a little story. This is what I mean by inconvenience, and not that I needed to. This was not the proving point. Oh, she's really my friend, you know, because you were my friend before this.
Oh, this is
Okay.
about me. Okay. Oh
Yeah,
boy.
you were my friend before this. All right. Uh, Femi, my twin goes to the hospital. I can't go because it's a COVID. Okay. And you were in Tallahassee. Okay. And I won't get into the particulars because it was just, didn't know what was going on, couldn't get anybody at the hospital. Then I finally got somebody at the hospital. They say, oh, she's been transferred to Emory. I don't know whether she was flown or driven, everybody, because nobody could tell me whether she was flown to Emory or driven to Emory. To this day, I don't know. Okay. But I'm not on here to bash Phoebe. Okay. We're talking about friendship. So I don't know what's going on. And I don't even know if I'm thinking, okay, she's going to die. I never thought about that until I was told she didn't make it. And Liz was in Tallahassee, and it was what 11, maybe 11, 12 o'clock at night. She says, I'm on my way. That's what I mean when I'm talking about inconvenience. A situation like that,
Yeah, I understand.
that you don't have to think that well you could have been. I don't know what you were doing when I called you and said I don't know I don't know what you were doing.
I don't
I
even
don't even, we didn't
remember.
even have that
It didn't
conversation.
matter. Right.
I didn't
It
even
didn't
ask
even
you,
matter.
are you busy?
Right.
You know, you said I'm on my way, and an hour and a half, whatever it was later, you showed up. Okay, that's what I mean by inconvenience. I'm not saying you just you're doing something just casually
Right, right, right,
inconveniencing people. So
right.
that's what I mean by and the person don't have to keep apologizing. I'm sorry.
Oh God, yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
I got you. You don't have to because
yeah. But you
I'm
know
your
what though?
friend.
That's why I guess for me, maybe we need to find a different word for inconvenience,
Hmm.
because if you're in that space, it's not an it's a priority.
Right. Right.
It's a priority. It's not an
Yeah.
inconvenience.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking, like, as far as inconvenience, I think it would be more like those small things, like
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
grab some food. I'm in the middle of stuff, but okay. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We need to
We need to
change
find a
that
better word.
word. Yeah, and because
Yeah.
you're prioritized
Yeah.
if you're a
Yeah.
friend, period.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I'm speaking to
and you know.
and I'm
Mhm.
speaking to somebody apologizing. You don't have to keep apologizing for me
Oh
coming to
yeah,
pick you up because otherwise you don't have a
right,
ride. For
right,
example,
right,
that's also,
right,
you can stop apologizing to me for coming to pick
right,
you up because
right.
you don't have a ride. So
You know,
somebody has to
and
pick you up.
apologies or something. Now, I think that
Yeah.
you do now, and this is not tagging onto what you're saying, but I think about, like, for example, long conversations. When I catch up with those who are in my that I call friends.
Hmm.
Sometimes much time will pass, right?
Yeah.
And or if if something takes an emotional turn, I
Hmm.
know that I never have to apologize or vice versa, like, about being upset, because that's what we do. Who else
Right.
are we going to do that with?
Right.
Because we a thing that I would say about friendship is that if you are not a safe space for me, then you're not my friend.
Mm,
If I have to edit what I'm saying, you're not my friend.
that's good.
And that's it,
Yeah.
because it's like something, an associate on Facebook had posted something about, and this is a little crass, but it's like, um associates talk about where you're going to eat, and friends talk about your poop. I mean, it's kind of like that. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just that,
So So what did you say just before that? You said that something you said I was gonna definitely point out. If you have to do something, you're not my friend.
what did I say?
You just said if I have to, I don't know, but something I was
Yeah,
going to
like
some
I was, yeah, like something about, like, apologizing or
yeah, but something that you
explaining
said.
myself or
What I
something.
was
Yeah,
gonna
I know
say,
what you're
yeah,
saying. Hmm.
yeah. If
Hmm.
I can't be myself
Right.
around you, then we can't be friends. Now that has
Right.
taken me some years to get to.
Mm.
Okay. Because I have found myself I have found myself trying to conform
Mm.
and perform
Yeah.
for people who and I will say we were friends,
Hmm.
but I could not be myself. So I became an actor.
Ugh, it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. And I think and the older I get, I've looked back and I say, you know what?
Yeah, that's
I was
exhausting.
I was a
Oof.
straight fool for even for, for for even to conforming and performing.
But you know what, though? It really does go back to trust, because if you don't know if you can trust somebody who can take
Hmm.
100% of you,
Hmm.
then of course we test the waters, but then it becomes
Right.
our error. We continue to stay in that cycle, right?
Hmm.
Because I mean, it is human to want some kind of connection, and
Yeah.
sometimes, I mean, if you're in the desert,
It
it's like,
is.
well,
Yeah.
I'll just a little dab will have to do me.
Yeah.
But I I find that, particular. I remember my mom saying this. Then this is true, that as I get older,
Hmm.
um, that authenticity thing, I just, it has to be there,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I'm careful. I don't rush. Now, I might rush a lot of things, but I
Hmm.
don't rush friendships. You're
Wow.
gonna have to show me, again, a Missouri or a Thomas, whichever fits. But you're gonna have to show me that you're trustworthy. And I'm
Yeah.
looking, at everything. And, because because of what we do as college professors. We're very forward facing, and then of course, being a performer, a lot of people can think, oh, she's an extrovert and blah blah and yada yada. But the people who really know me, they know I'm actually an introvert, you know um and that I love nothing better than to just kick it with a very small select group, or like even a person. You know what I mean? That my existence is very insular. I am not one of those people that is I'm not recharged by being around a whole lot of people. That's work for me. And so, so when I think about, the time that you existed performing, who you were, I just, it's so heartbreaking to think about, because I think about how fully exhausting that must have been. Because I know when I cross a threshold into a space that I call safe, it's like I can be who I am, you know, warts and all. And if I cannot do that around somebody, then well, you're not my friend.
Wow.
What are you doing? Why is it?
I got to do both. I got to
I
be
know. Like, get me off the
be
screen.
yeah. So yeah. So I think there's something that I'm almost like, this need to be a part two, because there's so much I really want to really talk about. It's just so much, because as we get older, I know as I get older, um, relationships, well, for me, relationships have always been important for me. But I think as I get older, and then not having my twin, you know, um, who was my best friend. It
Right,
took her actually leaving for me to say, you know what, that was my best friend
right,
all this time.
right,
She was my best friend.
right. Not
We were
just your
so focused
roommate.
on being
Right,
twins that we didn't,
right,
this is the person
right.
I spent all my time with, and we had a lot, we did a lot of things together. We shared our lives together. I'm thinking, and I did not realize until after she had transitioned that I had actually had a best friend right there with me,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And so I just so much I would like to just talk about, as it relates to that. So maybe we could do I say we can do it, and I want to invite some more people in. If you have a best friend, okay, and you want to be on a podcast talking about more about this, let me know. Because I think that it is something that we that needs to be talked about, because it is so loosely used. The word friend is so loosely, the word friend has become, I was gonna say something about diarrhea, but you get the point what I'm doing. That's how
Hmm.
loose the word has become.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. So you're such a writer. I would have,
That's
but it's true.
you know,
It is true.
yeah.
Yeah, it's diluted. It's
It's
diluted. It very
diluted.
much is.
Yes, yes, and so I really
Yeah.
wanna, this is one of my passions, and people who know me know that I have a stickler about friendships,
Hmm.
so I wanna talk about that, so it's right at we've got about 2 minutes, and I really, you know, I there's just so many things I wanna ask. I got a whole everybody, I got a whole show, I got a whole list of questions that I didn't even touch 75% of the questions that I want to talk about this particular subject. So I will do, I will expand it, have it as some other times of the year, um, so we can talk more about this powerful, I think, and very needed subject of relationships, friendships. Okay.
Good.
Uh So anything you want to add, Dr. Liz?
I do, just really fast. I'm really particularly interested in friendships between women, because a lot of times women have been taught somehow that that should be competitive, and I think about a lot of people who are intentionally rewriting that narrative, that script,
Mm-hmm.
and they are demonstrating that they are sisters keepers, and so I'm looking forward to hearing those stories
Mm-hmm.
about women who genuinely support one another and
Yes.
root for one another, because
Yes.
they you know we exist out there and in great numbers. So
And
I'm looking forward to that
yeah.
celebration.
And I want to say this: if you are a brother, okay, I mentioned this earlier today. This is not just about women.
That's
We
true.
want some. If some, we was black men, if you have some strong relationship with brothers, I would love to do an episode of people who are best friends, opposite sex. I think
Yeah.
that is, I think that is a unique something that needs to be talked about more. You know,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
if you're a brother and you have a brother that you're close with, you all are best friends. You've been through the fire together. You've been through some adversity. You all the seasons you've been through them. Please let me know. So I would love to
Yes.
have you on the
Hmm.
show as well, so we can talk about it.
Hmm.
All right.
Right.
So
Yep.
let me say, thank you for joining us for the first episode of Friends with Benefits series. So the next time we're going to move a little deeper into cultural meaning of friendship with our next conversation is Sister Friend, the sacred language of us. And we'll talk about the unique bond between Black women, the history, the intimacy, the protection, and the power that lives inside that phrase, Sister Friend, which I got from Maya Angelou. So until next time, take care of your friendships and take care of yourselves. Have a good night, everybody. I'm trying to find my out button. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you for showing up at The Intersection. This is The Intersection podcast with Boomie Anderson, and whether you're watching on screen or listening on the go, we're glad you're here. Be sure to subscribe, share, and stay connected. Until next time, meet us back at The Intersection.